Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Performance Enhancing Podcast or Pep Talk here with Elon Ferdman. Today, we're going to talk about something that I did a podcast about my morning routine and how it can change your life a little while back. During that process, I actually read a book. I read several books, and the funny part was as I was kind of formulating this morning routine and what I wanted to look like, I read two books that come to mind right now. One is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, which talks a lot about morning routines. And the other one is Your Perfect Day Formula by a guy named Craig Ballantyne. And Craig I reached out and we happened to schedule this interview. And during that process, I actually got to interview him, which was amazing for me. So just so you know a little bit about Craig, the Perfect Day Formula is his culmination. He has a very, very unique story, very interesting story, kind of almost like The Secret-esque story. But he did something where he was really successful in the fitness world. He was kind of like a Beachbody, P90X type system that he was building. That turned into coaching. And what he's done over the past few years is reverse engineer what's made people super, super successful in their fitness and turn that into almost a formula that you can use to achieve any goal you want in your life and how to create the daily habits to make that a reality. So without stealing any more of his thunder, let's jump right in. I'll let Craig tell his incredible story to start off, and then we're going to start going through the actual formula bit by bit using real world examples and everything like that. I think you guys will get a ton of value from this. So enjoy my conversation with Craig Ballantyne. All right, everybody, welcome back. I have a very special guest. This is going to be a very, very interesting podcast for me as a student as well. First of all, welcome Craig Ballantyne to the show.
Thank you so much, sir.
So Craig Ballantyne is not the creator, but now runs Early to Rise, which if you guys haven't seen, definitely go check it out. Some of the best, most interesting content for sure online in the world of everything that betters you, I guess. But that's not what we're going to be speaking about today. So we're going to be speaking about this. Hopefully people can see this. It's called The Perfect Day Formula. It's Craig's new book, which I read here a couple weeks ago. So excited to have you. Why don't, before we dive into that, just give people a little bit of background because you have a really cool story.
Yeah, so I started out in the fitness world actually selling online information products, kind of my own versions of P90X and that sort of thing. So we graduated up to follow along videos. And along that time, I was also coaching other fitness info marketers how to build their own business, how to be successful. I really loved doing that. And I always wanted to do more than just fitness. I wanted to help people transform their lives in many, many ways. And so I moved into personal development, productivity, time management, that sort of stuff, and eventually came to run Early to Rise in 2011. It had been around since 2001. That's when it was started by a guy named Mark Ford, who wrote a whole bunch of articles and books under a name Michael Masterson. So it gets a little confusing in there. But he did all this stuff, built up this amazing site, was ready to kind of move on from it. And so I had the opportunity to take it over in 2011. And then we just put everything together. So all the fitness stuff, all the productivity stuff I was doing, all the coaching, it's all under Early to Rise these days.
It's really interesting though. You were a huge fan of Early to Rise before you even knew Mark or it was even on your radar, right?
Yeah. And I hired a business coach back in 2006 and I had this kind of what I call secret moment. Everybody's watched the movie The Secret, I'm sure. I was really skeptical of it. But in 2006, hired my first business coach. He was helping me build my fitness business. And the very first question on the very first call, he said to me, Craig, what do you want your business to look like in 5 years from now? And I said, I'd love to have a business like Early to Rise because I was a reader of it for about 3 or 4 years by that time. I really liked how it helped people build health, wealth, and wisdom. And from there, that was it for all that we talked about on the call. And then he just helped me build fitness business. And then I joined mastermind groups. I met people. I started doing more events. I started coaching. And I just started telling people, more positive people around me that, hey, this is a business I'd like to build. And then one day, my business partner today, Matt Smith, was at a seminar with Mark Ford. And Mark said, hey, I'm done with Early to Rise, ready to move on. And Matt said, hey, I know a guy who would love to buy that business. And he sent me a text. And the next thing you know, we're on a plane to Florida. We're negotiating the deal. And it was 5 years, 3 months, and 17 days after that first call that I was able to own the business. So I'm a little bit late. I was 3 months late.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was really just a unique experience, because it was like in The Secret when John Asseroff is like saying, oh my goodness, I live in this house and I had this house in my vision board. And that was actually my favorite part of the movie, but I was still pretty skeptical of it. And then I went and kind of had this, kind of lived my own little version of it. And I just changed the phrase law of attraction, which is in The Secret, to law of action attraction. So I was going out there, I was meeting people, I was coaching, I was just doing something every day to move me in that direction. And that's what helped me achieve exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. And the cool part that I think you shared right now, which is once you created that goal for yourself, you went out and shared that goal. And you were talking to anyone, whether it's masterminds or groups, and just saying like, hey, I would really, really love to do this. And so you're kind of building that public accountability almost to get your ass in gear and actually make those things happen. You weren't like sitting on the mountain going, I'm going to build a business like Early to Rise.
No, and it's really, really great point in that, you got to find good people and you share with them your goals. And then, a good person, it's like it just gets in their head and they can't stop but helping you. And so when somebody tells me they want to achieve something or they want to meet somebody, I'm just thinking, okay, who can I connect the dots to? And that's what Matt did for me. And that's what, good people will do.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. There's a bunch of things that I kind of picked out, like quotes wise, and things that I really, really liked from the book. But before we kind of go like that nitty gritty, why don't you tell people where this book kind of stemmed from? Because to me, at least when I read it, it seemed much more experientially driven than like Craig sat there and read 97 of the top, productivity books and kind of give his own spin. It really felt much more, it definitely felt like you took pieces from a lot of things, but it felt much more like it was your life experience that you put in here. So tell people like what this is for you and what the intention of this book is.
Right. Yeah. So it's exactly like, it's a how I did it based on studying science, studying, reading all those books, going to seminars. And this, in 2007 was when I really started implementing a lot of the stuff just after I hired my business coach. Actually, it was even a little bit before that. And it was just like, okay, I'm not satisfied with my schedule right now. How can I make it more effective? How can I finish each day feeling more accomplished? A lot of people finish a day getting a lot done, but not really getting the main things done. So, it's 5 o'clock and it's like, where did the day go? And I didn't really get anything done on my major to-do list, but I did all these things. And that's because they're reactive. So I wanted to make a proactive approach to life. I learned all this stuff. I learned exactly what successful people were doing. So I studied all those. I actually studied a lot of people from history. And the funny thing is I wrote this 300-page book, and then I sent it to my editor. He sent me back like 130 pages. He cut so much of it out, which we ended up using on the website for essays and stuff. But I went about writing the book the absolute worst way. It was just, I guess I actually got stuck at a point where I'm like, I don't know how to chop this down. And this guy just did an amazing job with it. So it was all of the lessons I've learned over the last 10 years distilled into here's what's worked for me. Here's what's worked for my coaching clients. Here's what's worked for people around the world, and it'll work for you.
It's brilliant. So let's take people through, because there's really like a few major concepts. One of which is your 5 pillars. And we spoke before about like 5 pillars to kind of achieve anything you want in life. And I thought that was really an interesting spin. It's very, very simple in its essence, but also very, very powerful. And it kind of alludes to even the story that we were just talking about with Early to Rise. So let's walk people through those 5 pillars and then kind of use examples of them in real world.
For sure. So I actually, I learned them from people in my weight loss transformation clients, and everybody that won the contest had these 5 things in common. And it's better planning and preparation, it's professional accountability, it's social support, it's a meaningful incentive, and it's the big deadline. And each one of those probably needs a little bit of explanation on its own.
Yeah, please.
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. So better planning and preparation than ever before. So, those weight loss clients that would say, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds, and then have no plan, man, they would struggle, because for 2 weeks they'd get through on motivation alone. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, a tough day. And the next thing you know, they're back to old habits. So the people that were succeeding, they had a nutrition plan in place. Here's what I'm going to eat every day. Here's the workout plan. But one other thing that they had that most people don't think about is a plan for what they're going to do in those temptation situations. Because in a lot of areas in life, it's not necessarily what we do, it's what we avoid. So, like an alcoholic, if the alcoholic does all these things right over the course of the day, but then goes to a bar at 7 o'clock at night, they're screwed. They're going to be in drinking. So the person needs to have a plan to get out of temptations. And what I say is, identify as many obstacles as you can in your life, and then come up with 2 solutions for each. So if plan A doesn't work, then obviously plan B will kick in. So that's the better planning and preparation. When you have that, you'll really make progress. The second one is professional accountability. Now, I got that when I was building my business. I hired a business coach. Any type of mentor, any type of coach, whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to get rich, whatever it is, you should go and find somebody who's achieved what you want to achieve, and then also find somebody that lines up with your morals and ethics, someone that you share your same values with. And when you have that person, they're really just going to show you, this is what I did, here's what you're going to avoid, and you're going to do this, this, and this, and it's just a matter of you doing the work. And it really takes out a lot of guesswork, really eliminates a lot of the struggles. Like you hear about people that spend $20,000 building a website and making product, and then realize, oh my goodness, I don't know how to sell this thing. I hate those horror stories. And that wouldn't have happened if they had a coach walking them through it. So that's the most important thing about professional accountability. It gives you 2 things that's different from positive social support, which is the next pillar. So professional accountability is your coach. They're going to give you expert advice. And if you screw up, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to say, hey, listen, this is what you did wrong. Now, how are we going to, improve that in the future? Whereas with your social support, they're your cheerleaders in life. They're going to pick you up when you're feeling down, and they're just going to be on the side of the race, on the side of the road saying, hey, you can do it. But they'll never give you expert advice because they don't have expert advice, but they're just really positive people in your life, and they're going to, motivate you on those tough days. And then the fourth one is the meaningful incentive. And this one's really cool, because I realized, again, same as with the better planning and preparation, if somebody says, I want to lose 10 pounds and I'll buy myself a new pair of jeans after, it's really not going to get you through more than 2 weeks. And then when those tough times hit, you're going to be like, I don't really care about getting a new pair of jeans. But if you were doing this for your children, for your spouse, if you're doing this to really make a change in your life that's going to be significant and meaningful to you, then you're going to stick to it when the days are tough, when you're not getting enough sleep, or when you're feeling hungry, you're going to stick to it. And that's really important. And then the 5th pillar is actually the most important, has the biggest impact when all 5 of those are in place, and that is the big deadline. And the big deadline just spurs us to action. So first of all, it gets us going, because we think, 90 days, 60 days, whatever it is, your transformation time, whether it's your business transformation or physical transformation, everybody sits there and thinks, I can do anything for 90 days, no problem. And we get through the first 2 weeks, and then it's the tough times kick in. But we go, okay, just 10 more weeks of this. And then once you hit halfway, it's like, oh my goodness, now I'm on the home stretch. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I see the finish line, and you actually start working harder and getting more results. And as a business owner, I see this all the time when I run a sale or a promotion in my business. Even if we have a front-loaded, if you buy on the first day, we're going to give you all these bonuses. You get a lot of sales on that day, but you still actually get most of your sales on that deadline day, and still most of those sales in the last 6 hours before the deadline ends. It's just amazing how people will procrastinate and delay. And, I always use the example of a real world example is Christmas. Christmas, always December 25th, and malls are always packed on December 23rd, December 24th, because you can't show up on December 26th with a present. Otherwise, you're just not going to look very good.
Yeah.
So that's a deadline. That's the power of it. And those 5 pillars in place, weight loss, making money, getting out of debt, whatever it is you want to achieve, you can do it just plugging in the planning. You plug in your coach, you plug in your support, you find that meaningful incentive from inside here and inside your heart. And then you just put that big deadline in place. Like, I'm going to transform in 30 days, or I'm going to do 21 days, or, I'm going to change this habit, and away you go.
Yeah. So I want to kind of use your example with Early to Rise, right? So your coach takes you on a 5-year plan, and this is not really geared for that. So for you, how did you take this 5-year plan of, I'm going to build a business like Early to Rise, and kind of create what, I guess, like in Scrum or Agile, they'll say those sprint sections where it is the 30 days, 90 days, whatever. So you constantly feel like you're moving. That's kind of that big why, the big vision, the big incentive, if you will. But like, what's that incremental steps to get people there?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And so if I looked at the business and I said, well, Early to Rise has more than just fitness. So obviously I need to get out and create, get experience and create products in that. So one of the things that I did was, for 2007, the year after I said that to my coach, I actually started telling people, I'm going to get my PhD in internet marketing this year. So I joined mastermind groups. I went to seminars. I really dug into it because I realized for the past couple of years, I was kind of getting by on the credibility I had from writing for Men's Health, and it wasn't enough to take me to the next level. And so it was, that first sprint was studying. And then from there, my coach encouraged me, hey, Craig, it's time for you to have your first seminar. So I had my first seminar in late 2007. I filled that. Then I built my own mastermind, and I started becoming a better coach over the next year. Now at Early to Rise, it's also full of amazing content. And I was only writing these short little emails to my turbulence training list. I was writing some longer copy, but I wasn't learning how to write what we're known for at Early to Rise, which are these essays of really high quality. And so now I had to go and relearn how to write a 1,000-word essay with a really great story in it. And so that actually took a lot more work than I wish it did. It was really probably maybe the hardest part of everything I've described up until this point. And so that was the next sprint from there. And then it was building some products out for Early to Rise. So it was almost like there was more of a year-long theme for each one. I'm really big in the Rockefeller habits, planning and that sort of thing, which also have the 90 days. But it was really that year-long cycle and theme that I had to do this first, I had to get this experience, I had to learn how to do this, and then we could really go and take advantage of that opportunity which came up through the networking and through all the connections that I made.
Yeah, I literally right before this got off a coaching call, and I was talking to one of my clients, and I was saying that the work that you do is internal. Like, the external world shows up when the internal is aligned for that. And so life just keeps throwing different things at you to see, how are you going to respond? What are you going to do? And when you learn those skills and tools, that's when that opportunity shows up. And it's kind of like for you, Craig, the route that you went on, you're like, okay, if that's kind of where I want to be in 5 years, what are the skills that I'm missing? And then you just go and you develop in that skill. It's okay. Then you go and develop in that skill. And literally 3 months after your quote unquote target date, you were ready for that kind of opportunity. It was almost like Mark Ford was holding your baby till you were ready to just take it over.
Man, I've had so many experiences in life where the classic phrase, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's very similar to what you just mentioned. Like, I should have had a coach before I hired my first one. That was one of my biggest mistakes. But when I was ready, it just happened that this guy who became my coach, he was like, yeah, I'm actually thinking of taking coaching clients on now. So it was perfect timing. And then it was perfect timing when Mark Ford was ready to get rid of it. So all these things, when you move in that direction, they'll all come together.
Yeah, I actually call them guiding lights. It's like it almost shows you that you're on the right path because the perfect person is always right there. I want to ask you a question. This is something funny that happened yesterday, and I think this is interesting where we can use the 5 pillars and also kind of your knowledge in the health and fitness space. So Do you know the concept of ego depletion? Have you heard of that? Basically, when you like resist and restrict something so much, and your whole being, like people are, you know, I'm not going to eat sugar, or I'm not going to eat bread, or which is kind of the example I want to use here. And because they do that so often, so the whole day is just using all of this.
Okay, so it's like willpower depletion.
Like, yeah. And then they can't make better decisions later on, or, you know, like real big decisions. So yesterday I saw something really funny. A bunch of me and my friends are going to Ibiza. And now there's a big incentive, right? So we're going in 30 days. It's like, everyone's like, okay, now I'm going to get fit. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, you're not going to get fit in 30 days. You know what I mean? It's like, do the year. But anyway, everyone's like, I'm not eating sugar and I'm not doing this. And then, you know, this tray is sitting on the table of wonderful desserts. And this guy, I just see this guy's like, he's using every bit and ounce of power to not do it. And finally, like, everyone's almost done with dinner, like dessert's done. And he goes, you know what? Let me try that Reese's peanut butter cake everyone's been raving about, right? So he takes this one piece, and I cut him like a little piece because I knew he was trying to be healthy. And next thing I know, I look over, there's 3 different cupcakes. Like all pretty much the same, but 3 different cupcakes. And he basically tried a half of every one of the other cupcakes as well. And I look at him, I'm like, what? Because I know he doesn't really eat sugar on a regular basis. He's like, listen, once I already had that one piece of sugar, I figured, like, what the hell?
Right.
So I just kind of chuckled inside. Like, I'm not one to tell people, like, you know, you moron, blah, blah, blah. And I have my own ways of dealing with it. But I'm curious from your perspective of both the preparation and planning and all that stuff, plus the health and fitness side, what would you say to people who go on these kind of like insane, I can't eat any of this shit diets to try to get into shape or, you know, whatever, look better, feel better? Right.
So that's just planning preparation, because listen, unless you're going out for dinner every single night, you should be able to say, listen, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my thing Monday through Thursday, you know, just going to be dialed in. I'm going to stay out of temptation. And then Friday, really good in the afternoon. And then in the evening, I'm going to go, and I use the phrase, pick my poison. So when I'm coaching like a business person who has a lot of business dinners, I say, listen, you got one poison. You can have the wine, you can have the bread, or you can have the dessert, but you can't all have all 3. So just keep that in mind and go there with that mentality that I'm the type of person that either just has the wine, the bread, or the dessert, enjoys myself, doesn't feel guilty. And then, you know, when someone comes around and says, hey, you know, you want to have dessert? Like, nah, I don't eat dessert, you know, during the week. It's just being prepared for having that, here's why I'm not doing this. And then it moves on. And, you know, that's actually one of the things that's so powerful about, you know, being a paleo person. Like if you're a paleo person, you can just say, no, I don't ever eat this stuff. It's not a willpower issue. And so in the book, I talk about creating rules for your life that, you know, for me personally, I have this weird one that I don't curse. And so, you know, I gave up cursing 6 years ago, and I used to, like, I was pro at it. But now I just don't do it at all. And so it's not an option. And so it's easy for me to sit there and I can have a conversation with anybody, no matter how much they're cursing. I'm not going to, because in my head, I believe that I'm the person who doesn't swear. So, you know, that person who doesn't eat, you know, cupcakes that I don't want, you know, I'll eat a little bit of the one thing I really want, and that's all I'm going to do. You know, that's the right approach. So what's your approach? You mentioned you have a couple ways of dealing with things.
Yeah,
Is there other ways, other secrets you have?
So this is just mine. I'm not saying like this is the right thing. All right, cliffhanger time. We're going to have to get back to the way I deal with this situation in part 2. I do this sometimes because A, it cuts in right in the middle, and B, I think it's for a cool effect. But in any event, I hope you enjoyed this first part of my conversation with Craig Ballantyne, and wanted to make you guys aware again, of our live event, which if you don't know about it yet, you can head over to youwillhaveitall.com/live for all the details. Now, we're doing something here that we've never done before, and that is give tickets away to the event in San Diego for free. So mark your calendars, November 3rd through the 5th. We have a VIP day on the 6th. You can find out more about that as well. But all you have to do is put a seat deposit, which basically lets us know that you're coming. I mean, we'd love to open this up for everybody, but then we actually don't know how many people are going to show up. So in this way, we actually can count how many people and set up the room properly. But again, you got to make sure you do this quickly because we're going to cap this obviously eventually. So the ticket to reserve your seat is only $297. If you want to reserve a seat for you and a friend or you and a partner or you and whoever, it's only $500. You get all of it back as soon as you show up to the event. So again, if you've wanted to be around us, if you like these conversations, if you like the insights, if they're making a difference for you, I urge you to come check out this live event. People that came to it last time, you can watch their videos on the youwillhaveitall.com/live page. I mean, live transformed, absolutely live transformed. So if you're feeling like you want to make that kind of shift in your life, then I absolutely encourage you to at least go check this out. Be a yes to life and come hang out with Guy and I in beautiful San Diego. So we'll see you on part 2 of my interview with Greg Ballantyne. And until then, have an amazing day, my friends.